How fragile the economy already is. This is one burden we can lift ourselves. We can end it with a simple vote.
Welcome back to Hardball. That was the president earlier this morning appealing to Republicans in the House to take action and move quickly to raise the debt ceiling before Tuesday's deadline. But will they? Joining us now, Republican Congressman Steve King of Iowa. Congressman, thanks very much for being here. How will you vote on Speaker Boehner's proposal?
Well, in a few minutes, I'll go over and vote no on that proposal.
How come?
Because it doesn't take us far enough, because it only cuts into the next year's appropriation by $7 billion, and the Ryan budget is a $31 billion cut, so we give up on the Ryan budget if we do that. It does have a balanced budget as the second tranche. That's down the road into February. Kicks a can down the road. It doesn't hold together our definition of a balanced budget. It just says a balanced budget amendment. We need to do more, and the best that this proposal can do is lower the trajectory of the national debt's increase, so that 10 years from now we won't have a $25 trillion debt. We'll only have $24 trillion worth of debt. That's not good enough, and it's bad for our markets in the long run.
Congressman, do you believe this has all been hyped? I mean, are you not accepting of the fact that Tuesday the government runs out of money?
Well, we don't run our money on Tuesday, and I think this has been overhyped, but I wouldn't say that we aren't going to be in a position where this debt ceiling has to be increased. It's the conditions over which and when we need to increase the debt ceiling that this discussion is about. The default language that's been used is overhyped. A default has been now defined to mean any time that the United States runs out of borrowing authority, rather than we might not be servicing our debt. We will service our debt. We'll pay our interest and principal on the day it's due. That'll happen, and the president should guarantee that.
Congressman, how about this concern? It was expressed by the president earlier today. I thought he made an important point about the country's credit rating. Let's all listen.
And make no mistake, for those who say they oppose tax increases on anyone, a lower credit rating would result potentially in a tax increase on everyone in the form of higher interest rates on their mortgages, their car loans, their credit cards. And that's inexcusable.
I mean, what has driven us to this standstill, it seems, is a refusal by some to raise taxes. Doesn't the president make a valid point when he says that if we lose the AAA bond rating, that essentially taxes are going to go up on all of us?
Well, he also said in just the previous clip that we can solve this with a simple vote. This is far more complicated. This is about 75 years of accumulated overspending. It's about the acceleration in the overspending of this administration. A lot of it was driven by the Pelosi Congress in the last few years. We came with $160 billion of balancing this budget during the height of the Iraq War. Now the president offers us a $1.65 trillion deficit spending for a single budget, 10 times what it was just a few years ago. And now he says all we have to do is borrow the money and we'll solve the problem. That does not solve the problem. It delays the immediate crisis. I want to see this come to a solution where we can actually dial down the trajectory of our deficit and be able to predict a balanced budget at some point. The president apparently doesn't want a balanced budget, or he would have accepted $2.4 trillion when we offered it to him when cut, cap, and balance.
If next Friday we've experienced a drop in our AAA credit rating and interest rates are going up on everything from automobile loans to home mortgages, will you have been wrong?
That's way too soon to say. It's going to take months to look back on this and say, and some of it has to do with how this is messaged. The president is messaging this to damage the markets, and I don't think there's been enough message out here on the top of on all of our leadership to say that default is not what you say it is. We're not going to default. We could and should, and the president should at this point now define what his priorities are. If he doesn't get his debt ceiling increase, he should be telling the American markets where he's going to prioritize to put that money. I say pay the troops first, service the debt second. If the president has national security issues, put those in third. Then let's take care of our seniors, Social Security, and Medicare. And there's still money left over. This is not a crisis that starts at midnight on August 2nd.
Congressman, many thanks for being here. Congressman Steve King.